All right, welcome back. We got our weekly stock market update, and the big news this week was the U.S. China tariff pause. So we have a 90-day pause on the tariffs while they work out a deal. So that led to a nice rally early in the week, and it just kind of kept going throughout the week. So we had 5 green days in a row. We'll look at the charts here in just a minute. And then also this week we had some inflation data that came in very cool. So slowing inflation, which is good to see. And we had the Federal Reserve with a lot of speeches this week. They didn't really say anything too interesting to me, but it's definitely looking like the potential for rate cuts are going to be more towards the end of the year. So things don't look too bad in the economy, and we're seeing the inflation numbers come down, which is good. And I think they're still going to have to wait for some of the tariff news to get solidified before they feel comfortable cutting rates. So let's go ahead and take a look at the heat maps. So heat map for this week, the ETFs, you had Nasdaq up 6%, S&P up 5%. So pretty strong week here for the markets. And when we look at individual stocks, a lot of green here. You've got Nvidia up 15%. Apple up 6%, Google up 7%, Amazon up 6%, Tesla up 20%. So technology, the semis moving nicely as well. And the big losers this week is continued weakness in healthcare. So United Healthcare is down 25% this week. I think it's down 50% in a month. So we'll take a look at that chart here in a minute. I'm going to do some research this weekend to see what's going on. Every day there's a new headline for United Healthcare. Getting pretty wild over there. Crypto this week, Bitcoin flat. The other coins making a little push this week also. And let's go ahead and take a look at the charts here. So the S&P 500, 5 green days in a row. This squiggly that I drew a few weeks ago playing out nicely. We're above the tariff announcement gap, so looking strong here for the S&P 500. We are almost back to all-time highs. Where are we at here? 3% away from all-time highs. Pretty unbelievable whipsaw in the markets. Nasdaq extremely strong as well. We're only 4% away from our all-time highs. And we are in a bull market. We're up 30% from our lows on the Nasdaq. 30%. Unreal moves here. Let's take a look at the Russell 2000. Making a nice move also, but definitely lagging. Small caps are lagging the S&P and lagging the Nasdaq. This is just such an ugly chart for the Russell 2000. Dow Jones, not as strong because it's being held down by some of the healthcare names. And what else we want to look at? Oil. Oil had a decent week this week. Back over $60 a barrel, reached 64 this week. And let's take a look at gold. Gold pulling back this week. And volatility collapsing, continues to collapse. We're getting in the danger zone here. When volatility is low, it's time to go. When the VIX is high, it's time to buy. Burn that into your brain. There's still some opportunities out there, but definitely when the VIX is spiking, that's when you want to be a little bit more aggressive on making some purchases. Let's take a look at interest rates. 10-year yield up a little bit this week, but overall not a huge move this week for rates, but definitely cooler inflation numbers is a good thing to see. So we'll see. We got some jobs numbers next week. Let's get into some individual names. We'll start here with Amazon. Strong start to the week, kind of fizzled out. I think Walmart had their earnings, and I thought they did well on their earnings, but Amazon was down after the Walmart news. So we'll see what happens there. I did buy some more Amazon this week. We're still 14% away, 15% from our all-time high. And to me, this is one of the best stories that I want to have in my portfolio for the long term is Amazon. Nvidia, huge week this week, huge breakout from the downtrend. Squiggles have played out here pretty nicely as well on Nvidia. Lot of bullish catalysts coming from the Middle East conference that they had. So there's so many data centers being built, so much money being plowed into AI data centers, not just on a company level, but now a country level. And this is something that we've talked about for a while, is the thesis of sovereign AI. It's not just Google and Microsoft and Meta that are going to build these super clusters for GPUs. It's going to be countries as well. And so you're seeing some of that investment starting to take place in places like UAE and Saudi Arabia and other places like that. So I expect that to continue. I'm super excited for NVIDIA's earnings, estimate of $43 billion. And we will see what they have to say on the call when it comes to guidance. But the semis in general had a really nice week on a lot of the news of a lot of investment coming in to AI. Tesla, really strong breakout here. So looks like we are running up. We are pulling forward some of the excitement going into the robo-taxi event. I believe Tesla was up 20% this week, so very strong bounce. Again, after their terrible earnings numbers, Tesla's on a rip after the earnings. I mean, it's unbelievable, some of these moves, 56% after earnings. 56%. I mean, that's a decade of performance for the S&P 500 in a month for some of these names. Coinbase has been listed in the S&P 500, so a strong move for Coinbase. Great to see. This is a company I like a lot. I don't use their products, but I really like the CEO, and just great week for Coinbase this week. See here, what else? Apple, not doing a whole lot. Pretty just consolidating sideways here for Apple. I will look to buy on pullbacks. I feel like we should probably fill this gap, but who knows? We'll see what happens here. Google, nice bounce back this week. Good to see for them. And XLV, healthcare ETF, pretty ugly start to the week. A little bit of buyers stepped in at the end of the week. Healthcare's not going anywhere, but you're kind of catching a falling knife with some of these names. The semis, holy smokes. I haven't looked at this chart in a while. Looks just like NVIDIA, no? Looks just like NVIDIA to me. So strong breakout here for the semiconductors. And let's take a look at United Healthcare. This is crazy looking chart. It was $600 not too long ago, got down to $250. So that's a huge drop, and this is a huge staple in the Dow Jones and everyone's 401k. It's not a liked company, but it's a company that's making $100 billion a quarter, so they provide a service that someone's using a lot of, and they also pay a $2 dividend. Looks like that may be monthly dividend. So I'm going to do a little research on this company. I don't know. I don't think I have an edge on this, but I mean, it's due for a bounce eventually, but I don't know how serious their problems are. They look to be pretty serious by just looking at this chart. So that's a pretty ugly looking mess there. Next week, we've got unemployment claims, PMI numbers, really not a whole lot of news next week. So it'll probably be a tariff update or deal driven week when it comes to the moves in the stock market. But we've had quite the run here for the markets, waiting for a pullback. Will we get it? Who knows? Maybe we blow through all-time highs first, but that is about it for this week. Not a whole lot else to talk about. Just a lot of green all over the place. And I will look to do a portfolio update over the weekend because I've made some changes here. You don't need to see my calendar. But that is all I got for this week. Short and sweet. Everyone have a great weekend. Peace out.